Okay, we're
Hey, good
ready to
evening,
begin
everybody. This
broadcasting.
is Oliver. I just want to remind everybody, I have to leave at like 6:50 or 6:55 tonight. Just FYI, thanks.
Control room is broadcasting. You're ready to begin.
Dave. Sorry, this is Sanjay Mishra, Public Works Director, City of Pinole. I would request the chair or vice chair to call to order to this meeting. From the vice chair. Yes, please.
Yep.
Okay.
Flag.
The United
United
States of America and to the republic,
for which it stands,
one nation
nation,
under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to take a roll call. And Doyle,
Present?
Faith Dunham Sims, Moriarty,
Present.
Oliver Collins.
Present.
So we have the quorum.
Here.
Okay. Faith is here.
Hey,
Thank you. So we have a full
I see
quorum.
Faith logged in with her hand raised, but there appears to be a microphone glitch on the systems.
Okay, okay. I will record Faith being present, chair being present. Thank you.
Me?
Yes,
Okay, I'm here. Sorry.
no problem. Thank you. Back to the next slide, Dave. Next item on the agenda is committee member reports. If any of the committee members has any report to the TAPS committee. Doyle, anything to report? Just move on to Faith Dunham Sims. Do you have anything to report?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ken Moriarty, anything to report?
No,
Oliver Collins, anything to report?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Good. Item number 4, citizens to be heard for items not on the agenda. Any public comments for this?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Then item number 5, traffic and pedestrian safety issues, those were submitted by the citizens. Next slide, please. I received, few emails regarding this Pinole Valley Road bike lanes that is between Helena Court and Sear Drive, which the lanes have been gets reduced, and there are some concerns of people finding them in a tight spot, and there's not enough space for cars and bike to occupy the same lane. I believe the current configuration there is just a shadow. Thing I can say here right now, the city is doing a capital improvement project, but which would be just a slurry seal project. And but this issue of bike and cars being on the same location, and definitely we are evaluating it. If it is only a striping issue, that can be resolved, but I haven't gone through the details of it to take a look at it. If any right of way is needed or any sidewalk needs to be removed to actually do a separate bike lane. It seems like definitely the road width is not adequate. It's my report on that. Any public comments on
Did you
that?
want input at this time or save that for later?
No, it would be right time to provide your inputs.
Well, I looked at it and for a 2.5 block stretch there, the bike lane on the side going toward the freeway disappears completely. And there doesn't appear to be room for both parking, 2 lanes of traffic and bike lanes on both sides. So something would have to give.
Yes, I believe you're right. And I know the 3 corridor specific plan may have an ultimate design for those areas, which as a staff, we will be looking into going in that direction in our future developments. And whenever it is possible, if this entire configuration, the travel lane configuration is redone, then it would be appropriate to change during that time. So that is in back of our mind whenever we come up with a new project on Pinole Valley Road.
So I'm the one that submitted this. That's exactly what the issue is.
Dave, do they have the ability to share their screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Ken, please.
Can you guys see this screen?
Not yet.
Do you guys see the map?
No,
Oh, how do I do that? Shit.
something's happening. There we go.
You guys see it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to orient it, so here's Pinole Valley Road and here's the high school. And suddenly it bottlenecks down to less than 10. It's also on a blind turn. You can't really appreciate the side view, but if you drive it or ride it, you. In this wider spot, a bicycle.
Also point out that if you look at it, that lane shrinks because of the paint, but the road itself stays the exact same width. So this could be fixed with a paint issue, turning the left lane into a turn lane instead of opening up a 3rd lane for the left turn.
I agree, Ben. But I think that a lot of people do, and I think it would be for a lot of people to lose that left turn lane.
Cause traffic issues, but I wonder if we couldn't link this to the last month's citizen complaint about traffic being too fast on this road. And so that would maybe increase safety for pedestrians and bicycles, and at the same time slow down traffic like the residents there want. Obviously not the residents that want to drive quickly through that road, but the ones that want it to go slower would be happy by that. I'm not saying that's the right solution. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I can tell you've been thinking about this. So I would be happy with that solution myself. Another solution I thought about was to shift everything over. But and just to from Helena to Granada is in the CIP. So here we go. Budgeted to address this.
Yes, I believe that this was for the slurry seal for
Right.
that portion of.
What if we simply do a slurry seal and we're just cementing in a safe? So I think, I mean, time is. We should do it as part of this project and not.
Eliminating the turn lane would require a engineering survey, meaning to say the volume that turns there is definitely pretty high. That is the reason why they must have done that. I haven't gone through all the reports when during the construction of the school, but I'm pretty sure that the reason for that left turn pocket is the volume. Why?
Yeah, I think you're right, and you can do this, not the striking.
I would suggest that since we're a committee that's designated to safety, that we should propose what we think is a safer choice. And that would give time for the public to comment too. And ultimately it's the council's decision, right? But I think we should focus more on what is the safer way than what is the best, fastest flow of traffic.
Yeah, well, both eliminate the bottleneck and address it.
Okay, I will note that as a comment from the committee members. And once I evaluate myself, what I think traffic-wise or a traffic engineer's perspective, once I get that understanding, I may come back to the TAPS committee again later date with some options. But removing the parking on the other side is probably you will get, you will have some other residents there also may have some issues. So it is okay. I will just note that the TAPS committee recommends for safety reasons for the bike to one option is to remove the turn lane or remove the parking to provide a 5 feet wide bike lane, continuous bike lane. Is that okay?
That's great. And Sanjay, can you confirm that we won't go ahead and slurry seal and restripe as is, and we won't move ahead until?
So to me, it seems like this is whatever the options are, most of the options lies in really the striping work. And I believe the project in a stage where we can wait for a while because it has been, it is going to the next fiscal year. So we can wait for a while before we make that decision. So
Great.
I would say that yes,
Great, thank you.
thanks.
Hi, Sanjay. I did not get a copy of this email, so could you please email it to me at
Oh.
your convenience, no rush. And also, I just wanted, sorry, everybody to be devil's advocate here, but I think the idea of taking away parking in front of people's houses is not going to fly at all. And that years and years ago, they did a bunch of different crazy stuff on Pinole Valley Road that nobody really liked. And I also feel like taking away a left turn lane where one is needed, if you're that person sitting there waiting to make the left without protection and you have speeders flying up on your tail, it's the same situation we had out on Appian at Marlesta before they gave us the left turn lane. I'm not a traffic engineer, but it seems like we really need to try to dig into this a little bit more because I feel like we're going to create, try to solve one really bad safety issue and create either more safety issues or headaches for the residents. So I don't know, Sanjay, I kind of feel like you're the go-to guy because you're the traffic engineer, but that's just my 2 cents on it.
But this bottleneck is a safety issue, and parking in front of 5 houses is a convenience issue. Kids to not be driven to school, but to walk and take their bikes. So it seems like this acute safety parking and the people on the opposite side of the street, they don't have parking. I'm not sure why
But I think the people on the other side of the street, their houses don't face the street.
It's Oliver Collins. I just want to add my 2 cents to this. So I ride my bike over there quite a bit every weekend, and I understand the challenges there. But the solution, I think, is more of an engineering solution, and I would kind of prefer to defer to Sanjay and his team to come up with a viable solution, because we can just say back and forth what we think is best, but I think it's going to be an engineering decision. But if you eliminate the left turn pocket and make it a straight lane and a left turn lane combination, and then you cycle the lights so only one of the 4 directions goes at each time, then you continue the flow northbound. The people can turn left on protected light because it's red everywhere else, and you keep the flow going. Then you can scooch over the whole thing and add a bike lane in there just by cycling the lights differently and eliminating the turn pocket and making a combination straight and turn. But anyway, my point is, I think this is a engineering decision. So I'm glad Sanjay's listening, but I think we can kind of go round and round. And I don't agree with taking parking away from the houses there, especially when it's only on one side of the street, because both sides of the street must be sharing that one side of the street for parking. But anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
I agree with I like the idea of the left lane becoming a signaled left turn lane instead of a curved out left turn lane. I feel like that's the best middle of the road, the least sacrifice for anybody. Everyone loses a little something, but
Is a public hand raised for comment?
The committee members completed their deliberations. Can we let the public comment on this? Chair?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Joel, if you can unmute.
I would like to know if and when they will be readdressing the issue that you covered in your last meeting regarding the Pinole Valley Road and Rafaela Street intersection. I didn't know at what point I was supposed to interject or bring this up, so that's why I'm waiting until now, because you were pretty immersed in that previous issue about parking and bike lanes, et cetera. So if you could let me know when and if I can just ask a few questions, because I didn't know what had been done since the last meeting as far as looking into DMV regulations, et cetera, and what you had decided upon or were leaning towards, et cetera. So please tell me at what time I can expect, if at all, to just hear a little something from the committee as to what they are preferring to do or allowed to do by DMV, et cetera. Thank you.
Joel, I responded to you in the email, and this item that will be discussed under this item further down a little bit. So you can comment during that time. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't see an email from you that's in my mailbox here, and so I still don't see it. So I don't know if it came under junk or something. I hope not. No, I don't see it there. No, I just don't see it at all, or I would have followed your recommendation and waited or done whatever you prefer. So just let me know what I can do right now as far as when and if I'll hear something about the issue, please. Thanks.
No problem. Just wait for a while and that will be discussed. Thank you. Dave, can you move to show the slides? So for Pinole Valley Road, I would just note that city staff will look into the possibility of a possible solution for adjusting a bike lane in that width. And if there are some options being, once it is evaluated, then city staff will bring it to the tabs for discussion before completing the Pinole Valley Road CIP project. Is that adequate?
That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. So we received some general concerns email from a citizen, and it was regarding faded striping all over the city, and also requesting to initiate a conversation and discussion with Caltrans for the additional lane on the on-ramp of I-80 East at Pinole Valley Road. For faded striping all over the city, city crew does have a plan to restripe some of the locations as we receive complaints. But generally, all over the city, we don't take up the striping work as it go. It will be dealt with as we hear, we know that city has a lot of need, so but we will do it as we hear complaints from people or request, and city will take up some of those. And some of our CIP projects also takes care of those striping when we redo any road work. As for an additional lane, anybody would like to comment on this striping item? Any committee members?
Hi, it's Oliver. I just have a question. Is the striping all over the city, does that mean parking, curb striping, or is it lane striping? And the additional lane for the I-80 eastbound on-ramp, I guess I get a question on that one. Is it, they want a right turn pocket going northbound, or a second left turn pocket going southbound? So it's a little bit unclear for me. Thanks.
This came from concerned citizens. They were saying that the city, all over the city, there are faded striping, includes parking striping, includes lane striping, and all that. There was no specific concern provided by the citizen. And so my response to that is, yes, we understand the city has a lot of need, and we would do some of those as now that we're getting into the summer months, our striping equipment is ready. Whenever the city staff, operation and maintenance staff are available, they will do some of those striping in the areas they have a schedule for or received complaints earlier. And for the additional lane on the I-80 east on-ramp at Pinole Valley, that is on the on-ramp. The request is to have an additional lane on the on-ramp itself. It is not on the Pinole Valley Road. So,
Okay, thanks for that information. That sounds like a Caltrans issue, not a city issue. I don't think we can touch the on-ramp. Thanks.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the request was for us to initiate a conversation with Caltrans, and other committee members wants to discuss anything on this? Public comments?
Sanjay, I'm sorry. It takes me like 5 minutes to find my dang mute button. So are we going to have a conversation with the folks at Caltrans, or I know they own that on-ramp, it's not ours. So was that something you were going to approach on or have approached on, or is it in the queue of things to do?
No, this is the first time I heard from the citizen. No, I have not approached Caltrans, but once I got that email, well, initially I spoke to my peers here and the colleagues in our city offices. I understand that this has been raised maybe 4 or 5 years before, but I am not sure if city has ever engaged with Caltrans for this. So anyway, the process would be to really to contact the Caltrans regional project manager and understand, get an understanding from them, the traffic behavior, whether they see there is a need for it, and then go from there. But I can start the conversation by contacting them. And we do have some scheduled meetings, and I can bring it up to their attention.
Thank you.
Does the TAPS recommend for me to go and talk to Caltrans for this?
I guess we should, since it was brought up. I'm kind of guessing if they wanted 2 lanes there, what they would have already have done it, but I'm not a traffic engineer, so well, I guess we should take whatever action we need to get the information so we can report back on it to the person who brought it to our attention.
Okay, not a problem. I would start a conversation with them. My first look at those locations, it seems maybe related to right-of-way concerns. But anyway, once I have a conversation with Caltrans, I'll bring back the discussion notes. Thank you. Next slide, please. Did you have any hands raised by public?
There are no hands at this time.
Thank you. So this is a list of traffic issues we discussed. Last time what I did is I put together as a table format and my thoughts, my comments on the sides. And for the Pinole Valley Road speeding concern, said that we discussed it, but I don't have a resolution identified, and it definitely needs engineering study to actually do the completely to lower the speed. And during last meeting also I mentioned that Pinole Valley Road is a arterial road, and some of the citizens have said that no, it is not, and we are saying as if it's a residential and it shouldn't be said as an arterial road. I have checked our records, and for the last 20 years of record that I could see, it has been an arterial road from the records I could find. And AB 43 is the new law that would be that is in play, where the city council can eventually lower the speed of a road, but it has to go through a process, and that process is kind of identified in that legislation, which was adopted by California legislature. So I just want to mention that lowering the speed on Pinole Valley Road, the speed limit cannot be done before June 30, 2024, unless certain criteria are met. And I don't want to go into those details yet, but AB 43 kind of gives out lists of those details. Okay. And
Is it possible to suggest that today's issue about the bike lane be somehow linked to the Pinole Valley Road speeding concern, so that when the study is conducted, that could be included, including its possible effects on this rate of traffic on that road?
Yes. So, so the way to lower the speed, if you go through the legislature AB 43, it says that the city council has to declare or have to say that this is a safety corridor. We have to adopt a policy to say that depending on your traffic accidents and the uses of the road, City Council has to say that, okay, this portion of this Pinole Valley Road is a safety corridor. So there are a few steps to achieving that. So that's what I'm just referring to the AB 43, and that would be one. That, okay, bikes and pets are using this corridor. We have, these are the accident rates or vulnerability, and we would like to adopt or declare that this is a safety corridor. So yes, and that will be the one of those points.
So it's hey, it's Oliver. I just have a comment. Sandy, I agree with your interpretation and your justification for not changing the speed limit. At this point, I think the 85th percentile is the basis we need to go off. But if we're talking about restriping the roadway and doing a slurry, I think we'd have to do a new speed survey anyway. So the 85th percentile might change on its own, but certainly we couldn't do it until the slurry and the new striping or the design is put in place. So I think we just have to wait and see and do the striping first, and then figure out what the 85th percentile is after we change the design of the roadway. Thank you.
Yeah, and
However, I feel like if we do it,
Right, but you can't base the speed limit on the unknown. It has to be based on the size of the roadway, the size of the lanes, and the design of the roadway. When Sanjay's right, you can't just arbitrarily, as a city, say we want to put it at 25. That's illegal. You have to follow the rules in doing it, and then you can go on base whatever the MUTCD recommends based on the size and the width of the roadway, or you reconfigure the roadway and then do an 85th percentile on your own, is the way I understand it.
yeah.
so currently, I mean, the state law as it is right now, 85th percentile is still the guidelines. But AB 43 legislation, which got adopted, that gives the ability for for the jurisdictions to actually reduce the speed further by another 5 miles. The engineering study and all that was supposed to have been done, and that gives the engineer from the speed survey to lower the speed by only 5 miles, and that the engineer can say that, okay, here is the 85 percentile speed because here is the condition of the road, we see it, and they can lower the speed. But AB 43 gives the ability for the jurisdiction to reduce it further by 5 miles more, meaning the speed survey says that, okay, this is 35 mile hour. So the engineer will, if the engineer's speed survey says, okay, it is 33, is the 85th percentile, I can lower that to a lower number. I can say 30. That is my next lower 5 miles round of 30 miles is what I can say. But to lower it by another 5 miles an hour, that AB 43 gives the ability, the city council, but there is a few steps that must be taken. That it has to be, that corridor must be a safety corridor. Then you must have your engineering study done for that road. And then there is some other details, how many residents per quarter mile. So there are some other criteria that needs to be fulfilled before they can be reduced by another 5 miles. If we don't do that, we are all liable for any accidents that happen there. The city will be liable for the accidents. Is there any discussion or thoughts on that?
Thank you for explaining that process, Sanjay. That's very helpful to understand that. Thank you.
Okay, that's Oliver. I just have one comment. I'm okay with the process and stuff, but I think the bottom line is if there's no enforcement and no deterrence, then it doesn't matter what the speed limit is. So if we're going to make a suggestion or a recommendation to change the speed limit lower, there has to be some follow through on the city side or law enforcement to be out there or write tickets or conduct enforcement or something like that, because otherwise it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with all the laws. I mean, laws are there for people to obey, but that doesn't mean that everybody obeys the law. So city and enforcement, I know our PD probably is online. Is Dave, is Justin online?
See his name reflected. I don't know if he's actively listening.
Okay. So yeah, our PD is online and we have discussed this, but I don't know how much enforcement has been done on that road recently or in the past. So yeah, I can't speak to that, but I can probably dig up some data, what we have.
Sanjay, I know for a fact that over the years, and I don't have a reasonable time frame. I'm sorry, COVID has just messed up my timeline. That the police have been out there with concentrated efforts and to slow people down and write tickets. I know they've done it several times since I have been on this committee, and they get, great results while they're out there for a couple of weeks on this project. And then of course things slowly, just degrade back out to where they naturally fall. But the police, law enforcement has been involved out there in the past trying to calm traffic.
What I know is that the PD has deployed the feedback signs, the radar feedback signs on that road. That I know. Just to tell people that they are flying faster than they're supposed to.
Did just receive an email from Justin. He was unavailable at that moment. I don't know if he's available at this time. There he
Yeah,
is.
what was the question? Sorry.
Justin, the question was regarding how much enforcement do we do for Pinole Valley Road speeding concerns?
Mostly it's been done with our traffic trailer, putting it out there, whether it be measuring traffic volume and speed, or putting a little shadow box out there that measures traffic volume and speed, so we can kind of get an idea if these complaints have been accurate in terms of the area of the high school and also the Shea and Pinole Valley Road area. I think we've done a lot of enforcement recently. It is an area that's on our traffic hotspot list, so it's kind of hit and miss with the enforcement out there.
Thank you.
Was that the question? Like what we're doing?
Yes.
All right. So ideally, we'd have a traffic officer who would address the traffic concerns, but right now we don't have anyone assigned.
Yeah. Chair, do you like any further discussion on this?
Well, if everybody else has spoken up, I think we're good. Thank you for this chart, by the way, too.
There is a public hand comment raised.
Yes, please.
One moment.
And was raised regarding the number 2 item, Pinole Valley Road and Rafaela Street. So until you get to that category, I don't have any comment regarding issue number 1.
Okay, thank you. So for Pinole Valley Road and Raphael Street, we discussed in the last meeting. I have gone there to take a look myself, and it is my determination that we have to red or yellow curve those two spots right adjacent to the church. So the only thing
That's a conclusion you have made since I last spoke to you. I wasn't aware yet if you'd gone that far, and I'm glad you have. So that is grinding forward and sounds, positive. So I just didn't know what to hear or what to look for to kind of hear how close it is to being finalized. That's all.
Yes, my only thing in my plate is I do need to discuss this with the church. So I need to explain them why we're going to be doing. And once I meet with them, then we will red or yellow curve those two spots.
Okay, my kind of bare bones proposal to kind of help the church in a way was to only have that second spot marked off in some fashion so as to kind of placate them to a degree. But if they're going to end up having two marked in some fashion, well, that's okay too. But whatever doesn't, rub them the wrong way, but gets the job done for that second spot, it'd be a great deal if it comes to fruition. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be two spots. It cannot be only one spot because it does not. It has to be for every kind of vehicle, every kind of traffic. So, to me, if the first spot is and the second spot is not the only one that would be blocking the view, it has to be both the spots. Then only you get a clear view. So it has to be two spots. I understand your reasoning, but if we have to do it just right so that it is applicable for all kinds of vehicles. Thank you for all your details you provided. Does any TAPS committee member has any comments?
You are moving forward to talk with the folks at the church.
Enough to meet virtually like this, and screens, so it feels a little more interactive environment, but I feel like the more
Today's meeting was supposed to be in person and virtual.
no, I get that it has to be virtual, but
Oh,
just
I see. Okay, sorry.
a little, it just feels to be more transparent or less transparent, and I'll choose.
Okay, well, I'm in a car, so I'm not going to share my video. I said that I was going to have conflicts for the first few meetings because of the time. But I think this person has been on hold for about 50 minutes now trying to get the answer to this question. So can we just focus on that? And also I have to leave in a minute. So if we're going to take a vote on something or recommend something to Sanjay to take to the council, then I just request that we do that now and respect the time of the community member that's been on hold this whole time. Thanks.
Sounds good.
There is another new hand raised in the community member section.
Chair, we'd let them speak.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Caller ending in 5748, please go ahead if you can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes, this is Anthony calling. I'm sorry got in line late here, but I had some technical issues getting the webinar number because you don't flash it over the screen on the top or the bottom of the screen, opening up in small blurry. Instrumental. It takes a joint effort by the city and Caltrans, so I don't think any of the committee, they sweep it under the carpet. It's a Caltrans issue. We're gonna work. Widening on ramp of the third lane or second extra lane on the on ramp itself. So it's kind of a two-part cutaway there that they need to analyze and see if it's viable, not so much feasible, but viable for the city and Caltrans. And they have traffic issues in my on plus the 20 to 30% higher carbon emissions it takes for every time people have to stop it. Stop and go, and the queuing of those signal lights aren't all in sync going. A different way with less stoplights and some more street lights. In a related issue, or Granada opposite Shea, and it's been brought up several times. And you commenting that it was only brought up once over the last 4 years isn't true. Myself and other people wrote letters to the city council, talked to the mayor, talked to the city manager, different people about that situation, as well as the on-ramp cutaway to for I-80 West on Pinole Valley Road. Thank you. Hopefully you can respond to those issues or present those to the city council.
Yeah, we did discuss about all those issues in this item previously. TAPS committee has recommended for me to go ahead and discuss with Caltrans regarding the on-ramp issue, and Pinole Valley Road speeding concerns we discussed in the beginning of this meeting at length. So, and just to be mindful of everybody's time, public should know that, keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
There are no other hands raised.
I'm just going to go down this list. There are no items for voting except future agenda items. If a committee member, Mr. Collins, is still here and the chair would like to jump to item number 7 for future agenda items, that would be the only thing to do. Other things are just a report and these issues.
Yes, whatever we need to do before Oliver leaves is great.
Okay, then we'll jump to item number 7. Can you just move forward the slide, Dave? Next, 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 next. One more. Okay, here. So any committee member has a request for future agenda items?
I don't at this time, thank you.
When I met with the police that were having a get together at Mountain Mike's for traffic safety issues, they mentioned one of their top concerns was on Fitzgerald at the curb near Mel's, that there's a lot of kids crossing there and it's kind of a blind corner, and they see that as sort of a hot spot, and asked that that get brought up at a committee meeting at some point, some way to mitigate the hazards there at that corner or that bend.
Can you please repeat the location again?
The curve on Fitzgerald between Mel's and Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, okay. Just going to have a roll call for this item to be added. Remember Mr. Doyle,
Sure.
Chair Dunham Sims,
Yes,
Vice Chair Moriarty,
Yes,
Member Collins, we have 3 votes. We'll add this to the future agenda. Thank you. I'm going to go back to,
You do have a hand raised in the public comment.
okay, Chair, we would allow the public comment now.
sure.
Caller with a phone number ending in 5748, please go ahead.
This is Anthony calling for the new future agenda item listing.
So the future agenda items are requested by the committee members. If you have anything, you can send an email to me, and then we will, and I will put that as issues brought by citizens. So I'm going to go back to item number 5, tables now.
So,
Thank you. To the list, row 3, this is the Wright Avenue and Carroll Avenue. Vehicles do not stop at the stop sign. I have to do a few more investigation to come up with the appropriate deterrent measure at this location. We have received complaints and some videos from the residents around there. We have similar complaints at same Wright Avenue and Dodge Avenue. People don't stop at that location too. That would be same thing. It's on city staff to do further investigation and come up with appropriate deterrent measures. And the once we identify that, then we'll bring it to TAP's committee for recommendation. Norville Avenue from APN Way to Meadow Park, similar speeding issues. Oh, I haven't gone to see that, but the Wright Avenue, I had been there to check it out. Next slide, please. I-80 southbound double turn lane, Pinole Valley Road, the visibility of striping and signage. This is in Caltrans right of way. During my next meeting with Caltrans, I will bring this up. Similarly, for the lighting of the directional signs under the bridge, that I'm planning to bring it up with Caltrans with my next meeting. Any comments on any of those committee members?
From me, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from public?
None at this time.
Thank you. Move to the next slide, please. Staff updates. Next slide, please. So CIP projects, just would like to update on the 2 CIP projects that the city is pursuing. APN Way and Marlesta intersection project. We received our authorization to proceed from Caltrans for this project. We got our final funding of what we call as E76 for that project. So we are moving to finalize our design and we'll be bidding this project pretty soon. Pinole Valley Road improvement is also another one, but as we discussed, we will be continuing that project to the next financial year, and we will include the striping work once we come up with an appropriate option. Any comments on these 2 projects from the committee members?
No, thank you.
Any comments from public?
No. None at this time.
Thank you. Move to the next slide, please. Committee members requested some updates on some of the development projects that's ongoing. I have just provided here with a city's website where actually all the development projects are being published. There are 2 projects which are currently under review. Those are 2801 Pinole Valley Road and 1500 Fitzgerald Drive, Pinole Vista. These 2 projects are being still under review and being discussed during the planning commission meeting. And I would encourage public or others to actually make their comments to the planning commission if they have any traffic related comments and all that for that project. And that should be dealt with during the planning commission presentations. Next slide, please. The active transportation plan. This is in our CIP project, and we expect to complete in the next financial year the active transportation plan for City of Pinole. Slide. Grants. City staff actually working on 2 grants right now. That is the HCIP grants, which is for some of the intersection safety improvement, which was part of our local road safety plan that we recently completed. And also we are putting some effort to OBAG 3 grant for upcoming cycle. Are there any comments from the committee members?
Yeah, this is Ken.
Those OBAG 3 grant is mostly for the streets that comes through MTC and CCTA. Those are for the arterial.
Yeah, I understand how that works, but I'm wondering what specifically is.
We haven't identified the project, what we are asking for yet. No, we don't know yet. But we are
Okay.
working on those to come up with a project.
Great. That's great to hear. I'm glad that I want to recognize that takes a lot of.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee member has any comments?
Thank you.
Discuss at any point in the future, any parts of the active transportation plan here in this committee?
Yes, when the active transportation plan, actually, we will be hiring a consultant to do a complete active transportation plan for the city. And when it is under review, under draft, this committee will have opportunity to review as during meetings and provide their comments, add the projects, and yes, you will have a few opportunities to review and comment.
Right, thank you.
Comment about the active transportation plan. Are we gonna, maybe I should have spoken up a little.
Yes, the local road safety plan draft is complete. We are just waiting for a field inspection by the consultant for a few intersections. And once that is complete, it will be final. And yes, it will be available for everybody to take a look on our website.
And just to, sorry, I know this wasn't what we're talking about, but what's going to happen is the local road safety plan consultant, and then it's going to be voted on by council, and that's that. Otherwise, the council's going to vote on it, and it'll be done.
That is what the current process is. But if the TAPS committee would like to see it before we bring it to council, I think I'm open for that. I don't see a problem with that.
That'd be great.
Okay. So I will just note that the local road safety plan will be brought to TAPS for discussion before bringing it to council. Any other comments?
Oh, thank you.
Are there any public comments?
None at this time.
Thank you. Okay, move on to the next slide, please. We covered this. Thank you, Mudra. The chair, this meeting may be adjourned to the next date, and that would be June 8th, 2022. I would just like to mention one thing before we adjourn, is that the bylaws that we last meeting we discussed, I'm preparing the final version of the revised bylaws, which would say that the meeting time and has been changed to second Wednesday of each month, and it will be from 6 to 8 p.m. And that would be the only change that we discussed last time, and I will bring it to the council for adoption. Are there any comments on that?
No, thank you very much for that.
Okay. So on that note, I would like the chair to adjourn the meeting.
If there's nothing else, let's adjourn, and thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.